Tonight, top aviation experts say the Lion Air pilots may not have understood why their new 737 MAX was suddenly in a nosedive or how to get out of it. Investigators believe the plane's sensors or its computers had bad data suggesting a potential stall. But many veteran pilots didn't know the 737 MAX computers can force the nose down to avoid a stall, even when pilots are flying manually. Boeing's operator's manual does not highlight the change. You're upset because Boeing didn't inform the pilots.
Right. That information was not disclosed to our company or our pilots that system existed.
Now, Southwest, United, and American Airlines and their pilots' unions are issuing urgent bulletins to get the word out. There is a fix. Simply flipping a switch should have turned the automatic system off.
As you can see, it stopped a trim.
But not knowing the problem, the Lion Air pilots appear to have continued fighting to pull the nose up.
Literally in a matter of seconds, I'm in a nosedive. Airplane is basically out of control.
Boeing says it's working to fully understand all aspects of this incident, and it's confident in the safety of the 737 MAX. Meanwhile, pilots are warning each other how to recover from a potentially hidden danger. Tom Costello, NBC News, Washington.
That's unfortunate, but differences training usually includes when you upgrade an airplane like the MAX. There will be a differences curriculum given to the operators so that they can teach the pilots where those airplanes differ from what they're flying. And maybe that wasn't fully done in this case.
What do you think should happen if that were the case? We talk about safety systems and beyond. Who's responsible for doing that? Is this something the industry can fix, or is this something where the FAA needs to have more oversight?
I'm not sure where the ball was dropped, but I do know that the system was meant to improve safety, inadvertent stall of the aircraft. And so, but that automatic kick-in isn't natural on the 737-800, so to speak. So that system was upgraded, and those differences weren't taught to the pilots that it could automatically pitch down as it did. And I think that's unfortunate that wasn't covered in differences training.
How unusual of a situation do you think this is?
Well, obviously very highly unusual. I've worked a long time at Boeing with the 737, 757. That's the safest airplane in the world. So it's so unfortunate, but it's rare. It's so rare, Becky, I couldn't give you the number.
Gordon, we've been watching what's been happening with the airline industry, and you were somebody who talked for a long time about how airlines could only be as smart as their dumbest competitor. It seems like the dumbest competitors. Yeah, it seems like the dumbest competitors have gotten a lot smarter these days. It's a different industry than it used to be, correct?
Yeah, it sure is. They weeded out a lot of guys, like if you can remember Hooters Air and Independence Air and all these guys, they've pretty much gone. And so the big four, actually the big six, are all run by really smart people. And I think we're pretty stable here in our country. Not saying that's true overseas, but it is in our country.
You fly United, which is now what Continental used to be. Gordon, what are your opinions of how United, and Continental after the merger and everything else? Was that a good merger? Do you like Oscar Munoz? Think he's doing a good job? Is the product as good as when you went from worst to first when you were in charge?
Well, I think Oscar really humanized the place, and he's done a tremendous job of trying to put a human face back on United, which is a great company. It's the route system is unparalleled. They had their problems, as most do, in integration, and it still manifests itself in one or two ways. But United's a great company. I've got a lot of friends that work there, and I fly them all the time.
What do you mean humanize the company?
Well, it got the feel, I guess, or the touch, was that it was too profit-oriented, not driven by the human side. And that may be not true, but that was the culture that seemed to pervade for a while as they integrated and cut costs. But you got to have some sensitivity, obviously, when you're moving people around and displacing people from their jobs. It helps to pay a little more attention to the human side of business, and I think Oscar's done that.
Oscar's had some pretty big issues that have come up on his watch. It may not be his fault, but there have been issues about the guy who got dragged off the plane, about the dog that passed away. I mean, those are some tough issues to deal with.
They are, and that's when I say that you get out there, when we screw up, don't deny it, get out there and apologize and do something about it. But, get out there and say that you're aware of it and you do care. And I think the people at United do care. They can't prevent all the screw-ups, but they can show that they care a lot.
Right.
Hey, Gordon, I have two quick questions for you. One is just a very point of fact. Would you have any problem going on a 737 MAX right now? Business traveler, any kind of traveler, jumping on one of those planes?
No, not at all. First of all, it's not a major learning cycle. The runaway trim on the stabilizer is the issue. Obviously, that you disconnect it, and that would take over. That would keep it from automatically pitching down. So the pilots could do that in the seconds. They usually get that in training. They're just not used to an automatic pitch down like they get in the system. So no, not at all. Go anytime on a 737.
And then I was going to ask you, if you were to look at any of the airlines right now, is there one right now, not as a stock, but one that you look at from a management perspective, and you say, those guys are clever, they're doing something?
I think I got to give all four of them top grades. I mean, they've weeded out the people that are running these airlines here, United, Delta, Southwest, and American, are all human, smart guys. I know each one of them, so it'd be hard to handicap who's the best. They're pretty dead heat right now.